Hello plant lovers and welcome back to my channel. For those of you that are here for the first time, my name is Bruno. I'm originally from Australia and I've been living in Vilnius, the capital city of Lithuania, here in the northeast of Europe for the last 30 years. Now today I'm going to be concentrating on my Alocasias and I'll show you the plants in my living room collection. Now, it's the first Sunday in February. According to the calendar, we've passed 2/3 of winter. We've got a month of winter left, but you never know with Mother Nature. It doesn't follow the calendar, and there's a number of ways of calculating when winter starts and winter finish. Some say winter starts somewhere around Christmas time, finishes sometime in mid-March. So anyway, the fact is, it's still winter. It's 3 degrees centigrade outside. We still have a lot of snow. It is melting because it's the temperatures are in the pluses. But the interesting thing is that practically all of my plants are growing and flourishing well, which is why when I water them, I give them a diluted fertilizer solution, because they're all pushing out new leaves. The only exception to that is some of my Hoyas. They've sort of gone into hibernation for winter, but the other Hoyas are doing quite well. New leaves are coming out. Everything seems to be okay. So we're going to be talking first about my Alocasias. I have, I've transferred all of my Alocasias into pon. And most of them are in self-watering pots. So they are thriving. They really, really are. Let's start off with a dwarf one. Yes, this one I've had for well over a year. This is the Alocasia Portadora Lowrider Dwarf. Now, in my old apartment, this was a huge Alocasia. Well, it wasn't huge, but the leaves were much, much bigger. But in the old apartment, it was attacked by a band of red spider mites. So I chopped the plant right back down to, you can see it. Where is it? There it is. Right down to the base of the plant. And what it did, it put out 1, 2, 3 new plants, and from the actual chunk that was left, it's produced this plant here, growth point. And there is another growth point peeking through out of the chunk. It's green, but it's been like that for quite a long time. I quite like this plant. It doesn't take up a lot of room, and of course, you know, each of the plants has at least 4 leaves. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 leaves. So probably this one that's hanging down is going to be one that's going to die off next. But it doesn't adhere to the 1 leaf in and 1 leaf out problem with Alocasias that some people have, or a lot of people have, but not everybody. And I'll show you some of my others that are not 1 leaf in, 1 leaf out. Anyway, this is the Portadora Lowrider Dwarf. I really like it. Easy to look after. Now, one that I showed you, I think last time, that I got as a rescue plant is my Alocasia cuprea, Red Secret. New leaves, of course, you know, a bit reddish. As I said before, in one of my earlier videos, I got this plant as a rescue plant, and I bought this particular one because there were 2 plants in the pot. 2 for 1. Anyway, yes, it has 4 leaves on one of the plants. It has 3 on the other one, but I can see that there's another little leaf coming out. So I'm going to have 4 leaves on each one. So I really, was one of my wish plants, like the one that I really want to get when spring arrives, even if it's a tiny little one in a plug, is a Friedeck variegated. So really, it's growing quite well. Sits on the floor, quite far from the grow lights that are on at the moment, because that's it, Lithuania, wintertime. You will be lucky if you get 1 day a week where the sun's out for like 2 or 3 hours. So they won't survive without grow lights. Oh, that's the kupri. Now, here's the one that's quite big. Ooh, nearly dropped it. Oh, here we go. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 leaves, and the 10th one is coming out just there. Now this one I've had since April 2023. Bought it at a big box store. Used to be attacked by red spider mites, but I haven't had red spider mites for the last 5-6 months, touch wood. This is an Alocasia cucullata, sometimes referred to as a Buddha's palm. It's growing very nicely for me. It's in pon. It's not in a self-watering, but I have it in there. Nice place. And look at the roots that are coming out into the water that's in the cache pot. And I've also drilled holes around the edge about 1.5 centimeters above the base, just to increase the water consumption and provide some aeration. So this is cucullata, Alocasia cucullata. As you can see, it loves it. I'm continually turning it because it's not directly under a grow light, and it's not right next to the window. It's just a little bit to the left of the window. So the leaves always turn to face the window, and I keep turning the leaves around about 180 degrees every week or so. So it's growing very nicely. One plant and lots of leaves. So I'll put this one down here. Here's another one. That also has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 leaves. This one, this has a nice tinge of. Doesn't show up on the camera, but on the screen that I'm watching. But it's a sort of a coppery red color on the back of the leaves. This one is a lovely plant, also in pon. This one I got in June of last year, and this is an Alocasia wentii, also called a New Guinea shield. Now, I suspect that this particular plant, I'm going to have to repot it soon, because in the wild, the leaves are huge, and that's one of the reasons why I bought it, even though I'm starting to run out of space. But it's a lovely plant. It's lovely and healthy. It's got lots and lots of leaves, and no spider mites. Another Alocasia, and this one, believe it or not, originally I bought it as an Amazonica, Alocasia Amazonica poly, but you can see from its leaves, it's not an Amazonica. No, it's not. There are 3 plants in this pot. There's when I repotted it, I grew a corm, and that's this one here. And it sprouted its own little pup, which is this little plant here with the smaller leaves. Now this is a pink dragon, because the leaves, this one's got holes in it, don't ask me why, but the stems are pinkish, and it's an Alocasia pink dragon. The mother plant has 1, 2, 3, 4 leaves, and it has a 5th one coming out that I can see. I think, yes, it has a 5th one coming out. Now, all of these Alocasias that I'm talking about, I like these leaves. They're beautiful, 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 nice and green and shiny. They are all within some distance of my south-facing window. So if the sun is shining, yes, they get sun from the south-facing window. And if it's summer, it's very bright light. I haven't had any problems because I moved into my new house in the very first couple of days of August last year. So smack bang in the middle of summer, winter in Australia, in the middle of summer here in Europe. And basically none of my plants suffered the transference from my apartment, which basically had very small windows and only two tiny little windows facing south, and most of the light came from grow lights or the skylights in the ceiling because I was on the top floor. None of them had any negative effects of suddenly being in front of a huge south-facing window, which was during the summer blasted with sun. Basically all the plants. There is one plant, and I'll tell you about that a little bit later on. So, and this plant in my apartment, I think I also got it last year. This plant, no, I didn't get it last year. I got it in 2022, sort of October-ish. It went dormant. All the leaves sort of yellowed and dropped off, and I was just left with a little chunk of a stem sticking out of the soil. Well, here, nothing is going dormant. Everything is growing beautifully. So I love this one. It's a lovely plant. It also is due in the spring to be potted up to a much bigger pot. Okay, so that's that one. Of course, bigger pot with pollen in it means it's going to be more difficult to lift up. Now, this one is on a stand with wheels. This is my poor Alocasia zebrina. It's basically got one leaf. It has a tiny little baby plant, which it produced, popped out by itself, has one leaf, nothing special, but it is pushing out a second leaf. Now, what I wanted to say about this zebrina, because it's in a bad state, and I mentioned it last time, and that's because it was attacked, savagely attacked. It was World War III on this particular plant by red spider mites. Well, I just chopped all the leaves off. I just couldn't be bothered fighting with this plant. And slowly but surely, it's coming back. Now, the interesting thing is that when I was repotting it, and it was also a transfer from a chunky potting mix to Lechuza pon, I found the tiniest of corms, one tiny little corm in the soil. And I thought, well, got nothing to lose. Let's try propagating it. And again, a little humus pot, tiny little bit of water, which is called the shallow puddle method. And I put it in and stuck it in my prop box, and 2 or 3 weeks later, saw that the roots were forming. Another week or so later, I see that the top of the corm was sprouting, and I have now the tiny little plant of my zebrina, which I will eventually pot up with Mama. Now, it's in stratum, and it is about to push out leaf number 2. So, and you can see probably see on the stems here, it's beginning to have that like zebra-like coloration on its petioles. So, that's my little baby zebrina, tiniest of corms. I didn't think there was any chance that it was going to survive. Now, as I mentioned, yes, the silver dragon, which I thought was labeled as an Alocasia amazonica, but friends of mine were in Poland last year, and they bought me a couple of plants after making a video call to me. And rescue plants cost practically nothing. One of them was definitely an Alocasia amazonica. But unfortunately, it just didn't survive. It just went from bad to worse until there was nothing left of that particular plant. But before throwing it out, I checked the soil and I found 3 corms. Also used the shallow method. And this is one of the babies. Look at that. Now this is definitely an Amazonica. See? Completely different veination, and it has these serrated leaves, whereas the pink dragon doesn't have serrated leaves and doesn't have such white. Now this has 3 leaves with 4th leaf coming out. Beautiful. Now this is the biggest. Oops. This is the biggest. Look at that. Beautiful little leaves, eh? I love them. This is the biggest propagation. The second biggest one is this one. Also lovely, but little bit of leaf damage there because I think the grow light was too strong in the prop box and it got a little bit burnt. But it's just beginning to show here, which no camera will pick up except my eyes, that leaf number 3 is coming out. And this is the second biggest prop. And the third biggest prop, also, these are now transferred to pon. I planted them up. This is the smallest one. It has 2 lovely baby leaves. And just pull the caterpillar. No, 3rd leaf not appearing yet, but it's growing very, very nicely. So I'm really, 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 really happy with this. Because I do like the leaf shape, I like the colors, I like the veination of the Amazonica, and I was so sad when that rescue plant moved to the big garden up there. Okay, so lovely. I'll probably plant 2 up in one pot, and I'll have 1 left to give away. So, but I think here in Vilnius in the spring there will be a plant swap, so I might take it to the plant swap. Yep, I think that's what I'll do. Take it to the plant swap, and maybe I'll find something that I really like and exchange it. So, coffee break. So that's my Alocasias. As I said, all of them have been transferred to pon, doing extremely well. Now we're going to go on a tour of my living room to see all the plants that I have here. So let me just take this off here because I hate it when I have to switch it off and then things change. Anyway, no. We'll just switch the... well, there's my little Benji. He's having his little nap. He sleeps for about 20 hours a day. But for the 4 hours he's awake, he's like Quicksilver. Now, furthest plant, I've shown you this before, furthest away from the south-facing window is my Philodendron lemon lime. Now, this plant is just going berserk. So it's going all the way down. I've wrapped it around 3 or 4 times. I've given cuttings away to friends. It's doing extremely well. But, have a look at this. Have a look at this. Look, oh, no, here we are. Look at that. It has a streak of dark green on this particular leaf. And here, look at that. A splash of dark green. Well, there's a new leaf. So, it's definitely lemon lime, Philodendron lemon lime, which, as far as I'm aware, this plant was non-existent. Is it like 2002, 2004, a Malaysian man found a mutated plant in China and thought he would do some propagation using tissue culture, and the plants that resulted from the tissue culture were all viable, all maintained the mutated color, and here we are. Today we have Philodendron lemon lime, and its origins, whether you like it or not, is one mutated plant in China, and as a result of tissue culture, which produced stable plants, we have this lemon lime. Here's my ZZ plant, Black Raven, and look, new growth, and a smaller plant, which I pulled out of that pot, the potato rhizome, and again, it has new growth there and new growth there. Hey, it's the middle of winter, but it's growing, okay? So, now, let's go over here. Let's go to the other side of the room. This is my Anthurium clarinervium, which I got, August last year, maybe? July, maybe, last year. Beautiful plant. I love the colouring on the leaves, just absolutely beautiful. It has a little baby pup that it put out here. A little bit of stressing, but I think it's all the old leaves. And so it also spends time near the south-facing window. So the new leaves have grown from the face, close to the south-facing window, and there's no problems. There's nothing happening to the edges, no crisping up. Now, this particular one is still in soil with sphagnum moss on the top, but it will be transferred in spring to a larger pot with pon. Now, its cousin, relative, next door, is, look at this, beautiful, look at that, beautiful leaves. This is the newest leaf, nice and light green, but as it grows older, they go darker green. Now, this particular plant is a Anthurium arrow. Yeah, can't pronounce the second Latin name, and it's a little bit smudged, but it's an Anthurium arrow, and this particular plant was recommended by Memo on his channel. I forget what his channel is called, but I'll tell you later on. But he recommended 3 plants for people to try out. So, and this is one of them. And it came as a big plant. That's a new leaf. This is the latest new leaf that it's pushing out. Have had no problems. It's in pon with the sphagnum moss on top in a self-watering pot, and it's loving life. Here's my Monstera Thai constellation, which I bought for myself last year for my birthday. And don't laugh at me, but look at the size of the pole. It's actually a birch tree trunk of a young tree that I found in the forest when I go for a walk with my dog, which had broken during a storm. And because it's so straight and more or less the same thickness, I stuck it in the pot. Made a big mistake. I planted the plant first, and I put the stake in a few days ago. Now, this is its newest leaf. It's still a little bit soft. This has come out in the last couple of weeks. This is the complete second leaf that I've had. This was the leaf before, and I can't remember which one. I think this one was coming out when I received the plant. So it had 2 leaves and 1 emerging leaf. Now, I did see an interesting report on YouTube that if you want your monsteras to grow more or less quicker and produce bigger leaves, and I love all this secondary fenestration and everything, except I presume this is the very first leaf because it has no secondary fenestration. But all the other 4 leaves have this secondary fenestration. This plant hasn't skipped a beat. I've attached it here. Where are you? There, so that the back of the plant faces the pole. And I did see a report that if you want your plants, monsteras, to grow big and tall, is attach them as soon as possible to a pole. Well, it can be a moss pole, it can be a coca-cola pole with the string around it, but I really like this birch pole. But I think I might have overdone it with the height of this particular pole, so I might have to saw the pole in half. But anyway, here is my schismatoglottis. Love this plant. I love the colors of it. Come spring, it will go into a self-watering pot because this plant really tells you when it wants water. Because sometimes in the mornings when I wake up, the leaves are not like this. They are hanging down. Now, if you don't catch it fast enough and give it water, because that's its way of showing you that it wants water, you will get some crispy edges on it. So don't wait. As soon as you start seeing the leaves starting to hang down, water it. So I'm going to try to avoid that by putting it into a self-watering pot. Now here by the fireplace, this is my Anthurium Jungle King. It's like a bird's nest fern. It forms a rosette. This is its newest leaf, which is still a bit soft. Oh, look, there's my hand. Yep. Beautiful, beautiful. What I love is the other side of the leaves with these ridges that stick out, the veins that stick out. It's like a muscle man. It's been to the gym and has these veins on his arms. Anyway, it's a beautiful, and look, this leaf the plant's been pushing this out for the last 2 weeks. And the plants are huge. As you can see, it does take up a lot of real estate. Now, it has what is probably a new leaf, but it could be inflorescence. And there's another new leaf pushing out there. So it loves this spot. It gets the sun from the left-hand side, but no direct sun because the plants that are in front of the window stop it. Okay? In soil, I'm not going to touch this one. This plant is growing well. I like the pot that it's in, and it's in a chunky soil mix, and I'm going to leave it in there for the time being, unless I see that the plant is stressing and it's got too big for its shoes. And here is my Aglaonema Silver Bay. Beautiful plant. It behaves a little bit like Schismatoglottis, and I can see from the leaves that it's probably telling me it wants a little drink. But I did notice the other day, somewhere in there, there you are. There he is. There is a new growth point coming out just there. So it's growing well. It's loving its life there. Here is my Maranta. It's not as full as it used to be because one of the leaves went a bit crispy, and instead of chopping off the leaf, I chopped off the stem. So I chopped that stem up into 4 pieces, stuck them in a container of water, and within 3 days it started putting out new water roots. So as soon as they've rooted up reasonably well, I'll pot them up in the same pot and have a nice big bushy plant. Here's my Sansevieria, which isn't a Sansevieria anymore. It's a Dracaena, but why it's a Dracaena, I don't know, because the Dracaena grows upwards on a stem, whereas the Sansevieria grows from rhizomes and pushes out new plants from there. But this is the whale fin, and all of these are new leaves. And it has sort of nice little sort of whitish edges. Beautiful, beautiful plant. How many has it pushed out? 3. It's pushed out 3 new little plants, and I only got it with this leaf, and that was it in the pot. Here's my Philodendron birkin. Some people love them, some people hate them. I like it. It is getting a bit more white. It is getting more sun and brighter light, and I did have just chopped a leaf off here because it was very, very white, and it crisped up, a bit too white. Here's an Aglaonema. Always forget the names of these Aglaonemas. This one is Aglaonema super white. Very, very slow grow. Well, hardly any chlorophyll, hardly any chlorophyll, hardly any chlorophyll, bit of chlorophyll, bit more. So it grows very, very slow. It is pushing out a new leaf for me, which is a little bit more green on it, so maybe it will grow a little bit bigger. No, we'll still call it a Sansevieria moonshine. I've transferred this into pon, and it's growing extremely well. It's just putting out new leaf after new leaf. It has a new one coming out there. There's a new one coming out here. There's the newest one there. It's doing very well indeed. Only since I've put it in pon. When it was in a chunky soil mix, it just sat there for like 9 months and didn't send out any new leaves whatsoever. Now, this is another Aglonema, which I moved from the bedroom because it wasn't getting much light. And I always forget the name of this one. This one is a white lance. A bit slower. I do like the white stems, but it's a bit slower to grow than the Silver Bay, which was the first one I told you. Here's a ZZ plant. Love it. This is the dwarf variety. And new leaf, new stem, doing extremely well. Now, here are 2 babies of the Clarinervium. There's a third one down there. They got a little bit sun-scorched, the leaves in my prop box from the lights. So I've moved them. I've taken them out of the moss and put them in pon. Sort of pseudo semi-watering, and they usually sit on the floor because my heating is underfloor heating, and so they get heating underneath, and they really, really, really like it. I have no ideas what the leaves will look like because I bought the Clarinervium with the inflow, and it already had green berries. So I planted 7 berries. 7 seeds, 6 of them sprouted. And I still have one little one, tiny little one, the last one to sprout, which is still in my prop box. Now, here's another plant that was recommended by Memo. And this one is a Philodendron, believe it or not. Now, it's got a horrible name. Here we go. Its name is Monstera pinnatipartita, yes, pinnatipartita, Silver Queen. Now, this is a little bit like a dubia because it has to grow up, and the leaves will eventually get bigger and bigger and bigger, and then they will fenestrate. And they'll be like Monstera leaves, but they will be long, not circular, but long leaves. Also recommended by Memo. And it's growing quite well. It's doing quite well. There is my Ficus umbellata. The leaves are in the way. Now, this plant was at death's door. I bought it in 2022, end of the year, with huge leaves and 3 stems. And it sat in my old apartment doing nothing, but it looked absolutely beautiful. And then one by one, the leaves started turning yellow. So I chopped up the plant, propagated them in water, and planted it up in pon. And it's growing very nicely here. It gets a tiny little bit of speckled sunshine. And the rest it gets from a grow light. This is my Strelitzia Nicolai. This was a sad plant. All the leaves were curled up like this. It just wasn't growing very well. But I've also transferred it to pon, and it's pushed out this new leaf for me. But as you can see, the very tip of it was crispy. Don't ask me why it's crispy, but the curling of the leaves is slowly going away, and the leaves are sort of stretching out. Now, here, hang on. Is it too bright? Yes, it's too bright. Let's switch off the lights for a moment. Now, here is my Philodendron silver sword. And look at the lovely size leaves. This is the first chop and prop, or chop and extend, because it had grown too tall, ran out of space. So I just separated the two moss poles and stuck the top bit straight back into the pot, and it didn't miss a beat. No problems at all. And it's continuing to grow, and it has another grow leaf, a new leaf there. This is its newest leaf. The one before that is also lovely, and it's starting to get these sort of like Mickey Mouse ears or whatever you call them, but it's growing very, very nicely. This is my Marble Queen pothos. Had it propping in water, not doing much, had it in a little pot. So now I've attached it to a moss pole. Well, I do expect that a lower leaf or two is going to go yellow, but no big problem. Now, if I just move one of these leaves. Look, here is my Mandula pothos. It hasn't lost a single leaf. These are the little leaves at the bottom, and as it grows up, the leaves get bigger and bigger. And as you can see, it's only one plant, but it's already reached the top, so I'm going to have to do an extension on this one. Here's my Philodendron Silver Wizard, which I've just done an extension of the moss pole because it had already reached the top and it's still growing up and there's not much left. So this is probably due for a chop and extend. Beautiful leaves, and as I said, look, they're just getting bigger and bigger as they grow up. This is the white wizard, because the stems are green and white. If they were reddish colored, then it would be a white knight. So this is how you tell the difference. So basically very similar plants. One, the stems are green and white wizard, reddish stems, white knight. This is a grown from seed. This is a Clusia rosea, I think. I'll show you a bigger plant I bought at IKEA, but friends of mine brought me a fruit of this plant back from the tropics, and I propagated the seeds, and I think I have about 5 or 6 of these little plants. But these are still like the juvenile state. Now, the fruit actually came from a variegated version of this plant, which is what I really wanted. But it could be that the seeds will be just the green form, or it could be that because this plant is still in its infant stage, it's green. It might variegate when it gets older. Anyway. What you can see here is, yes, Adansonia. I hate this plant. Up there is another Mandula pothos, and it's trailing all the way down. So it's something that I'm going to have to give away or trade. Here's an ordinary golden pothos. Starts up there, and it grows all the way down to the floor. Now, what else have we got up here? Yes, here's my tropical cactus. Is it the fishbone? Fishbone? Yes, fishbone. Right at the back there, you can see the fronds. This is the Rhipsalis paradoxa. Now, I used to have that Rhipsalis paradoxa here, but I didn't notice if it was growing or not. Well, it's a bit hard when there are so many stems hanging down from this. So I moved it so now it's facing directly the window. And there is that's not doing too well over that side. But anyway, this is a snake plant, but it's a Hawaiian one, all green, very thick, juicy roots it has. And over on the side here, lots of babies. Over on the side here, if I don't knock something over, is the Syngonium red sword. Beautiful plant. It's growing up there. It likes it. There's a new shoot coming out there. Here's a neon pothos, sometimes confused with a lemon lime, and the lemon lime is sometimes confused with the neon pothos, but this is a neon pothos. It has more texture. You can sort of feel ridges on the leaves, whereas the Lemon lime has a very smooth feel, but this one you can definitely feel the ribs. Here we have a Sansevieria, a ficus. This is the variegated one. This is the one that I broke when the curtain rod fell down, but it's growing very nicely here by the south-facing window. Lovely. Its new leaf has just come out. Here is another Aglaonema. This one is Crete. It's growing nicely. Beautiful red stems, red and green leaves, doing very, very well. This is my Dracaena. Like it. It's growing well. Also have to rotate it because it tends to lean towards the plant. This is another Aglaonema. This is Aglaonema Red Valentine. Now I've moved this recently to be here because it's got very little green on it, so it's underneath a grow light and next to the window. And there is another one of my variegated ficus. A couple more Clarinervium growths, but as you can see, look, that's the bit that burnt in the prop box, but it's put out a new leaf there, and it's put out a new leaf here, so it's growing. Oh God, Philodendron Pink Princess. We'll say nothing about this. It's just, I don't know. It didn't grow very much for me for the last 6 or 7 months, so I've moved it here to be under the grow lights and near the south-facing window, and I might have a better luck with it, but don't really like this plant very much. This is my Anthurium vitaflorium, I think. Yes. Vitariflorium. It's in pon, covered with moss, and in a sort of makeshift self-watering. It's put out 3 leaves, 4 leaves. Don't know. It came with horrible leaves, but I was just but it's still alive. It's horrible leaves, but it's growing. It's growing. It's growing. Over here, this is my Philodendron gloriosum, the crawling one. Now, in my old apartment, had big leaves, and it's another one that was attacked by red spider mites. So I cut most of the leaves off and chopped the stem up because it had reached the end of its pot. And this is what's left of the original plant. New leaves, new leaf coming out. This is one of its props, new leaf coming out. This is also another one of its props. Lovely leaf. New leaf coming out. And of course, all the leaves are facing that way because that's where the south-facing window is. Here's another Aglaonema. It's Aglaonema something Brazil. Here we are. Here's the label. Look at it. Beautiful. It had some flowers. Yes, it had some flowers. But they were insignificant. There's a new leaf coming out here. Insignificant. This is Aglaonema Amazon Silver. It's growing very nicely. It's still in its original pot that I got it from the nursery. It's growing well. Don't touch what's not broken. So that's beautiful. Beautiful colours on it. Interesting enough, my Schismatoglottis also had 2 little flowers on it, which looked very similar to the flowers of the Aglaonema. Aglaonema? Aglaonema. Yes, Aglaonema. Very similar. I also cut those off. This is it's supposed to be a marble queen. Now, it was marble queen back down here, but as it's grown up, it's sort of, maybe it just was growing in too little light, but I don't see any variegation on any of the new leaves, so don't know. There's another Adansonii growing. Hate these plants. We'll have to give this one away. There's my Teniki, growing very nicely. Has a new leaf here. Still a tiny bit of pink, and another new leaf pushing out there. So it's winter. This is my huge variegated euphorbia. I like it, but I'd like to get a little one that already has some branching on it, because this one I've had for quite a few months and it hasn't done much. There's my other Cupria. That's what it looks like. It's grown in the tropics, usually
by the beach as a windbreak, whatever. It's also called an autograph tree or a signature tree. You can carve a message in its leaves and come back a few years later if the leaves haven't dropped off. The message is still there. So, but this is definitely the green form. Here's my Ficus Audrey, growing nicely, putting out new stems, growing nicely. Nothing much to say about it. It's just growing nicely. It will eventually have to go into a bigger pot. And the other plant that I have here is the third plant that was advertised by Memo. This is a Philodendron Burley Marks variegated. Now, it's got a couple green leaves, that one there and that one there, but beautifully variegated. Beautifully variegated. This is one of the new leaves. Beautifully variegated. Beautiful variegations. It basically sat there for 3 months and did nothing. And now it's starting to grow up. And it'll probably need a support stick. I'm not going to give it a moss pole. It's just too much work looking after moss poles. But I'll give it a stick to attach to. So it's growing very, very nicely. And last but not least, this is the only Hoya that I have on this floor. I've moved it here. This is the interesting thing. Where is it? Where is the name tag? This is a Hoya carnosa albomarginata. Anyway, that's what the label says. Okay, it's growing very nicely here. It has a grow light there. Now, the Carnosa albomarginata, the Carnosa tricolor, and the Carnosa Crimson Queen. Crimson Queen? Yes, it's Crimson Queen because the thing. They're all the same plant. They're all the same plant. Because it's the same. It has some of its leaves are white. The new leaves come out a lovely pinky color. And it still has a tiny little bit of pink there. So albomarginata, tricolor, and Crimson Queen, they're the same. It's growing quite nicely. It's still in its original pot that I got it from the store, but because it's growing well, not showing any problems, I'm leaving it here. And as you can see, I've got a mother grow light up there, and I've got a mother grow light under the shelf here, up there. Yes, so that it has much more light. So that's basically it for all my plants that are here in my living room. Let's go back to me. Here we are. So, guys, that's my living room tour and my more or less my spotlight on Alocasias. Yes. So that's it for today, I think. Quite a long video. My next one, well, of course, it's going to have to be Hoyas. That'll be my next video when I have. So I'll show you the ones that are growing well, those that have sort of frozen in time. Oh God, that pole behind me there. Oh God, where are you? That pole there. It's definitely too tall. And some of my Hoyas, as I said, have moved to the big garden upstairs in paradise. And I'll give you some thoughts on it. One little thought. One of my plants that is growing well is my Hoya Silver Dollar. But I just want to share with you another stupid thing. Search the internet, because, Silver Dollar. Hang on, let's get you back here. The Silver Dollar is not cheap. So, you do some research. You Google it. Have a look. Yeah? Well, this is specific to Silver Dollar, and this is a 3-sentence paragraph. It's one paragraph with 3 sentences. Light requirements. The Hoya Silver Dollar thrives in bright, non-direct sunlight. Full stop.
new sentence. These plants, I'm presuming because it's the same paragraph, refers to the silver dollar. These plants can tolerate various light conditions, including partial to full sun, but they perform best in full sun exposure. They appreciate sun, full stop, new sentence. They appreciate sunny rooms with windows when grown indoors. Well, because it's all one paragraph, I presume that it's referring in each one of those sentences to the silver dollar. So really, does the silver dollar thrive in bright, non-direct sunlight? These plants can tolerate various light, including partial to full sun, but they perform best in full sun. Well, partial, full sun. So what do we do when we come across something like this? You just read 4, 5, 6, 7 more on the internet and see what is the most common advice. But I always find, as usual, is the advice from fellow YouTubers that post their actual experience, and they show you their actual experience. Now, my silver dollar is growing very nicely. I moved it out of the prop box 2 weeks ago. It's on a stake and it's binding itself up. So that's more or less it. And don't forget, please, if you're still watching this channel and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, please like. It makes me happy. Costs you nothing. Don't have to do anything. You don't even have to press for notifications, so you won't be bothered when the new ones come up. But if you really want to know, don't forget to press notifications, because then as soon as I post a new video, you'll get a message. But if you don't want to be bothered by messages, don't bother pressing notifications, but do subscribe and press like. And I'll see you again next time when the weather might be a little bit warmer and there might not be any snow outside. Okay, so take care. And I hope you all had a safe and happy New Year celebrations, wherever and whichever way you celebrated it. And I wish you all the best and for 2024. Thank you. Bye. See you next time. Ciao.